But so I grew up with Sheryl Sandberg. Okay. I went to North Miami Beach Senior High School. Cheryl's a year ahead of me. Her brothers and sister are younger than I am. And I've known her. And here's the thing. And the reason this is very hard for me, and I want to be very clear about this. And if this gets to her, which again, if you want to start playing Jewish geography, she and I are, like we have mutual people. So here's the thing. Sheryl was always a nice girl. Always. Sheryl was a nice girl. She was definitely an overachiever. She was never a mean girl. That's what I'm going to say about that. And I always had a lot of respect for her because she always did the work. This is someone who busted their ass through school. I saw it my whole life. She graduated. She went to Harvard, the whole 9 yards. She was the head of this, the head of that. And all of those things, it would be like you'd want to not like her. But the reality is Sheryl was never anything but kind and nice. She was the head of B'nai B'rith and so on and so forth. And I knew her through a lot of these Jewish things. I did. But I've got to say that I am so beyond disappointed and disgusted. And I've been hoping that at some point she would issue some sort of retraction against the ridiculous rape allegations and the nonsense that she basically participated in. And instead, it's like she's doubling down. And I hate having to do this but she is in that category of people that I consider to be willfully ignorant. And this is very unacceptable to me. And if this gets to her, it's like, I really do not take any pleasure in this because quite honestly, when Sheryl became COO of Facebook, that was one of those big things for our town, right? Like this is one of those things where it's like, that's a friend of mine. Like I felt very proud, not that I knew her, like that's neither here nor there, but that where I come from was producing people that were getting to this level of success. Like that was something I was proud of. Sure. And so to see her be so willfully ignorant and doubling down on what we now know is not true, right? Like all you need to do is a modicum of research. Yes, we were lied to. I know I was lied to the same way my whole life. We grew up in the same space. I know what we were taught. And to see that she's still not getting it is so frustrating to me.
What do you think that's about? I mean, like, how much of it do you think is sort of like being in your own kind of community silo? How much is it sort of what you were taught growing up in your sort of religious education? And how much do you think it is a sort of willful, like at this point, I mean, there was never any evidence for the claim, right? So it was always a choice to just believe in nonsense. But at this point where you have an evidence-free claim on the other side now, UN reports talking about rampant sexual abuse against Palestinians and Mums the word. I mean, at this point,
and like, where is she?
What do you do? Like, what do you think is going? Do you think she still just doesn't know? She doesn't see that her silo is so deep that she doesn't see that?
That's why this is why I've put off talking about this, because this is someone that I know for a fact is incredibly bright. This isn't somebody that skated by or had nepotism or no. This is someone who's very bright and worked her ass off and again was always kind. I also know that her family is kind. Like these are not, but when it gets down to it, that Zionism, that cult mindset, like what Lila just said in the chat, like it's this cult and it gets in you and it almost like you become rabid. But what's so frustrating for me in particular with Sheryl is given her position, given her platform, given her level of privilege to take the position that she's taken. You're going to show that next clip?
I'll play it now.
This is where I'm like, and I know this happened a little bit ago and I haven't been comfortable doing this because this very well, what I'm doing right now is going to not like, this is going to end a lot. This is like my final nail in my coffin for my like people I grew up with, right? Like this is not, and I'm being very honest. Like I don't have a personal beef with Sheryl. Do you want to show this?
Walk with one of my closest friends who's not Jewish. And just out of nowhere, not expecting to say this, what came out of my mouth was, will you hide me? Like if it comes to that, will you hide me and my family? And like, do I really think that's going to happen in the United States? No. And it was interesting because she didn't really know what I was talking about. So what do you mean hide you? And I explained that There are these righteous people that hid Jews. This is the story of Anne Frank. And then, of course, she said, oh, I know what you mean. But any Jew would have known what I meant immediately.
Sheryl, you are so far gone. You are so far gone. You have got to do some research. I am begging you to do some research. This is so infuriating. First of all, billionaires, you don't need to be hid.
Yeah, that's the part that is really fucking crazy. I'm sorry.
Right? Nobody
You
needs to hide you, Sheryl. Build
bunker
a bunker.
in New Zealand. Like, will you hide me, Sheryl? Like, what the
Right. Like that's so, but the whole leaning into, you want to know what she's leaning into? Sheryl, you're leaning into victimhood. You're leaning into victimization. You are taking a culture that is sort of known for being survivors of a Holocaust, and you are watching and perpetuating this to become now oppressors and perpetrators of a genocide. The fact that she still sees us as Jewish people as the victims now is inexcusable. And this is why it's like this was my last straw with this, where I just would be like, have you lost your mind? I don't know how somebody with billions of dollars is worrying about being hid when I'm seeing Palestinian babies crushed under rubble. The
And
people
also,
that
by
need
the
to
way,
be protected are them.
And also legal residents in the United States of America being spirited away to Louisiana prisons or kicked out of the country altogether, like having to self-deport or people getting sent to, the Venezuela, like all of this stuff is going on. It feels, this, I'm very interested in this kind of psychological phenomenon. And this is a lot of what Norm and I were getting into in today's episode, which he's my favorite. And he's, Norm, he's willing to go.
Oh,
he's willing to go way past right.
I love it.
But like I was saying to him, the thing that prompted the stop dating Jewish boys prompt is he thought I was talking about the parents of my ex-boyfriend. I wasn't. But I have had those kinds of conversations with them as well, where especially after I was fired over the summer and we were all together, they were always so kind to me. But I went out to their Cape House, but I was spending some time there, and they were so kind to me. But I also know that they don't agree with me, right? We just never talked about it.
No.
And when you really like someone and you really respect someone and you know that you share so many of the same values, and they've raised this child that you're that you're obviously very fond of in a relationship with, and you know that there's this barrier, there's something that has happened. There's some point you get to in a conversation that you're never going to get past. And if you push it too far, you're going to imperil your entire relationship. So I wasn't talking about that. I wasn't alluding to them when I was talking to Norm. I was talking about something else. But I have had it's been a recurring theme of sometimes even full on leftists, but who are a certain age and Jewish and who we just can't seem to get. And I don't know what
they're peppers, right? The peppers, the progressives, except for Palestine.
Yeah. But I was watching, who was I saying this to recently? I was watching a Woody Allen movie, and
that's okay. As long as you weren't paying to see it in the theater. If it was just on TV,
no,
it
was
doesn't count.
Streaming somewhere.
All right.
The thing about me is that I like to watch quiet things. I don't care what it is. I just don't want there to be an explosion. I don't want anybody yelling. I don't want a gunshot.
Thank you.
Woody Allen movies or period movies, they just have a little jazz soundtrack and people talking quietly. That's what I want in the background. So anyway, I put some Woody Allen movie on, and I don't remember which one it was, but every character, he's always in it, even if it's not literally him.
Yeah.
But the child version of him in the 40s was running around with a collection can for Israel. And it was just, it wasn't the point of the scene, but it was just all of his childhood in Coney Island or whatever. Maybe it was the Ferris wheel one of the movies. I don't remember which one it was. But watching those movies again, I was, slowly over getting a sense of how central Israel and Zionism is to American Jews in a way that I never really, I guess, thought that much about or paid that much attention to. I also went to a bat mitzvah last year that was very Zionism inflected, and it was oh yeah, I guess this is more of a cultural issue than I had given much time to thinking about prior to October 7th. And I do, you know, I don't know what it is, especially with an older generation, their proximity to the Holocaust. And I have a lot of empathy for it. I'm interested in it because I'm empathetic, and there's so many people that I care about that are kind of in this place that I am intellectually curious about how they've gotten there. But it is such a phenomenon. And I kudos to Norm. I mean, like, he's really unique among his generational cohort in a lot of ways.
But for what I garnered from that, also from your interview with him, is a lot of that is how he was raised. The fact that his family was the only family that weren't using the S word, right? Like, and I grew up with that. I hate to say it, but I did. It wasn't good. It wasn't good.
We all, and I've heard family members say an anti-Semitic thing or two.
Right. No,
like we're all.
Exactly. That's true. That is true. I feel like you give as good as you get in some ways, but that is very true. So the fact that he wasn't subjected to that at that time, given, you know, even I was, and I'm, you know, way younger than him, it says a lot. So he had, I guess he was starting on first base with whatever his family lottery was, that he didn't have that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. His mother sounds extraordinary. I think in one, maybe not the last time he came on, but one of the times he's come on in the last year or so, he told the story I never heard him tell before about going with his mom to testify against the prison guard, the Nazi prison guard. And he was like a teenager, I think. I don't want to like misrepresent the story. People should go back and watch it. But how they were walking down the street, like toward where the trial was happening, and they passed each other. Like they just like passed each other on the street. And what it was like to be in that situation where my life was in this man's hands. Yeah. And now we're just together. We're just here. This person who represented such a threat to me and my survival. And now I'm in a position to go and put him behind bars and hold him accountable for what he's done to me and so many other people. And it was really powerful and moving. And people, like, you know, Rising banned Norm saying that he was a Holocaust denier. Like, someone who has that kind of an intimate proximity to the Holocaust and treating them that way, and not like, I don't know. Like, I value enormously the perspective that he brings to these conversations, even if we don't agree on everything all the time. And I don't know. He's just such an incredible resource. And I truly don't understand. It was so difficult being in Rising, and the constant battle to do basic news coverage, emblematic of the idea, emblematized by the reality that they genuinely had blacklisted Norm Finkelstein on account of him, whose parents would literally survive the Holocaust, being a Holocaust denier.